In this alternate Earth, everyone gets a superpower when they turn 18, from flying to controlling the elements. However, Jen is 25, and she still hasn't found hers, which makes her very bitter during a job interview. She discovers the boss's power is forcing people to tell the truth, causing her to say many embarrassing things and miss the chance in the evening. Jen hooks up with her casual partner, Luke. As soon as they're done, Luke waits for Jen to go to the bathroom and flies out of the window. Jen feels unappreciated because he always does the same thing. The next day, Jen's roommate Carrie is at her job in a lawyer's office. Her power allows her to let the souls of dead people take over her body for a few minutes, so lawyers use her to solve cases. Unfortunately, this causes clients to get mad at her for getting in the way. In the afternoon, Jen arrives home and finds a lost cat at the door, so she lets him in. Then she sees Car's boyfriend Cash trying on a homemade superhero suit and makes fun of him for it. Embarrassed, Cash uses his power to reverse time and quickly closes the door so Jen won't see him. Soon, Carrie also arrives and cries while sharing how tired she's of clients taking it out on her, so Jen tells her to quit, but Carrie can't because she must support Cash until he finds a job. Then, to lighten the mood, Carrie channels Hitler so they can mock him later. Carrie has a date with Gordon, who refuses to shake her hand without a glove because he can make people instantly climax with just a touch. After a nice dinner together, they go to Jen's place, yet Gordon refuses to use his power, wanting to prove he can be good for a woman. Naturally, he kisses her with plastic between their faces and does the naughty with gloves on, but he's awful at it, so Jen has to fake it. Then Gordon goes to sleep after putting a pillow barrier between him and Jen to avoid touching her in his sleep. Meanwhile, Cash, Carrie are out in the street when suddenly an invisible man grabs Car's phone and asks for a purse too. Instead of reversing time, Cash throws his wallet at him and grabs Carrie to run away. Afterward, Cash admits that fighting off the robber felt good, so he wants to become an actual superhero. The next morning, Jen wakes up and decides to try to touch Gordon, but freezes when she sees the cat jump on the bed. The cat ends up touching Gordon first and wakes him up by screaming out his passion. Disgusted, Gordon goes away, telling Jen they aren't compatible. Afterward, over breakfast, the trio decides to keep the cat and named him Jizzlord for what he did on the bed in the evening. Jen takes a cab to her half-sister's birthday party. The driver has the power to tell when someone will die, yet refuses to give her the details, only saying she must watch out for bears. During the trip, she gets a call from her father, who reminds her to be a good sister. In the house, Jen meets with her mom, Mary, who has the power to command technology, yet she can't control it, and her partner Ian, who can sense emotions. Jen's half-sister Andy is turning 18 tonight, and Jen triggers an argument by pointing out she may not get any power, so Ian has to use his ability to defuse the situation. When Andy finally blows the candles, she waits for her powers to emerge, yet nothing happens. A smug Jen enjoys the moment. However, when Andy opens the fridge, she tears the door off. Excited, Andy begins showing off her new super strength, so a bitter Jen leaves. While drinking at that moment, Jen decides to visit Luke, who has been ignoring her texts. She finds him having dinner with another woman who has the power to shapeshift, yet she barely uses it, implying she's naturally beautiful, which annoys Jen. Afterward, Luke takes the girl out for a flight, so Jen forces him to do the same for her. The trip is short, and Luke leaves Jen on the street, saying their thing is over because Jen can't love anyone if she doesn't love herself. On her way home, Jen calls her dad to hear some, saying how much she loves him. Cash and Carrie are so distracted that they don't notice the car as being towed until it's too late. Carrie calls Jen to ask for her pin location, and as the couple rushes to the car lot, Cash admits the vehicle belonged to his mother and he doesn't have a license, so he can't retrieve it legally. They end up sneaking into the impound lot, only to realize they don't have the car key, and to make it worse, the effects of the medicine. And so Jen starts panicking. They have no choice but to call Andy, who smugly demands Jen to ask for the favor. Nicely, Jen pretends to be nice, and Andy proceeds to rip the trunk hood off easily. Then Jen tries to beat her up, so Carrie has to keep the Sisters apart, suddenly they hear car horn, and the girls are horrified to see Mary and Ian have come to pick them up while Mary scolds her. Daughter Jen remembers that she left a voicemail for Luke and asks her mom to delete it. Mary tries, but she still can't control her power and ends up playing the message through the car speakers. Andy suggests that Jen should spam Luke to distract him from the voicemail. When Jen gets home, she starts taking naughty pictures to send to Luke. Suddenly she sees Jizzle Lord transforming into a man and she panics, running out of the room. However, she also wonders if she has the power to transform animals by showing them her chest. Her friends join her, and the guy explains he's a shapeshifter that got stuck in his cat form. Then he hugs Cash, happy that humans can see his real face again, while also revealing he has AMS. The trio continues to call him Jizzle Lord and asks a few questions, hearing the few things he manages to remember and concluding he's been a cat for around 3 years. Jen decides they must keep him until he recovers his memory. At that moment, Jen gets a text from Luke, who has seen the pictures but also heard the voicemail, so he thinks Jen is weird. Later that night, Jen goes for a walk and sees a dog, so she flashes her chest to test her theory. The dog stays the same, and its owner ends up seeing hers. While the next morning, the friends learn that Jizzle Lord has forgotten how to use lots of basic household objects, so he'll require lots of help at work. Carrie channels the soul of a famous singer who turns down a contract to get her music and elevators on cruise ships, and instead asks to come back to the industry. After the meeting, the manager makes Carrie an offer she could work with them by channeling dead celebrities to make them sing again, which Carrie happily accepts. When she makes it to the recording studio, she calls Jen, asks her to come over for moral support, promising her to pay her for it. This gives Jen an idea, and she shows up at the studio pretending to be Car's manager, which allows her to get Carrie a juicy deal. When it's time to record, Carrie channels the singer they want, only to discover he's hard to work with and very misogynistic. The ghost even asks Jen to help him remember his lyrics, and after he disappears, Carrie searches for his songs only to learn they're all racist and misogynistic too. Carrie is uncomfortable and wants to quit, but Jen convinces her to stay for the money, hoping the ghost's bad memory won't notice. Carrie changes the songs a bit to make them less offensive, but sadly the singer hates the nice message and makes a huge scene. Carrie and Jen are both immediately fired. Back in the house, Cash interviews a bunch of candidates for his superhero team. Seb can summon sea creatures but not control them, and he makes a fish fly through the window. Since his family is rich, Cash recruits him anyway. ADA can move through solid objects, yet ends up with his hand stuck inside a wall. But he's also recruited a woman, has magnet powers, but ends up attracting every object in the house over her lack of control, so Cash turns her down together with a guy who can transform anything in a PDF. In the person whose eye lasers do nothing, Randall can use his rear to 3D print objects, which he demonstrates by making a small figurine. Finally, Gregor has super speed, proving it by bringing a postcard from the British Museum in just a second. Afterward, Cash is getting ready for the first official meeting when Jizzle Lord suddenly brings him a dead pigeon, not wanting him to embarrass him in front of the others. Cash sends Jizzle Lord to do the groceries at the store. Jizzle Lord is overwhelmed by everything, and seeing the female products makes him faint. The clerk immediately helps him out and gives him a book on women's anatomy to better understand the products. Back to Cash, he's meeting with his new superhero buddies and notices Gregor takes over writing on the board. Gregor also has a lot to say, and Cash feels like he's trying to steal the leadership from him. After Randall makes a marker with his backside, they discuss how they'd act if they save a woman, and Gregor says he should be the leader because he respects all ladies, while Cash claims he's the better choice because he's an expert on women's anatomy. Seb draws a woman's privates on the board and asks Cash to find the happy spot, which Cash doesn't know. Luckily, Jizzle Lord comes back and helps him, so Cash stays as the leader. When Carrie and Jen arrive home, they hear some weird noises and find Cash and Jizzle and Lord playing a game they built with a lady product, so they all play together. Sometime later, the magnet woman comes back because she forgot her umbrella, and suddenly she sticks to Jizzlord, meaning he's microchipped. The group decides to take Jizzlord to see Dr. Diddle, a vet capable of communicating with animals. His stress levels are pretty high because he's constantly hearing their cries, so he uses headphones for silence when Jen brings Jizzlord Diddle immediately, finds the microchip and gives them the old owner's address. Later, Cash and Carrie are getting down to business when suddenly Cash receives a text from his new team about a mission. He tells Carrie they can finish this another time, and Carrie feels hurt, so Cash rewinds time to say something nicer yet. He leaves anyway to distract herself. Carrie goes to Jen's room to start cleaning, and her frustration makes Jen realize that Cash hasn't satisfied Carrie in a while. At that moment, Jen discovers Luke left a sock and sends him a picture of it. She also finds Gordon's glove. Jen points out Carrie should go see Gordon and ask him to use his powers, but Carrie refuses to cheat. Afterward, Jen and Jizzlord finally visit the address from the microchip, only to learn that the owner is dead at that moment. They hear Tito the Pomeranian bark. Jizzlord describes him as evil, making them realize he's met him before. The duo decides to steal Tito from his owner and take him to Diddle, who translates the dog's message. Tito hates Jizzlord and won't share any information until they give him his dream day out. Diddle needs a break too, so he joins them. The group ends up in a club where Tito enjoys getting lots of attention from beautiful women. The others drink a lot, and even Lord panics and runs away meanwhile and begs for his help. But when Gordon reaches out, Carrie admits she can't do this. To apologize, she calls Gordon a hero for helping her, which puts Gordon in a much better mood, and he starts helping other women from then on. While Carrie reunites with Cash, Jen finds you're outside their apartment and tells him that the pub was a dead end. They bond over their fears of discovering who they truly are, and when they're about to come closer, they're interrupted by a text from Luke asking for his sock. The next day, Addie is still stuck on the wall for everyone to see. In the meantime, Jan and Carrie go to their former high school to attend Andy's graduation, and Carrie can't stop imagining what it would have been like to have the perfect graduation ceremony. When the family is approached by another student, Mother Mary pretends that Jen can read minds, but the lie backfires when Jen laughs as the woman tries to telepathically tell her that a teacher died. At that moment, Ian senses that someone nearby is distressed, so he blindfolds himself to enhance his power and find that person frustrated. Jen drags Carrie into a closet to drink the alcohol they hid there many years ago. Suddenly, they panic when hear the voice of Rebecca, the girl that used to harass them in high school. However, she's now very nice and even works as a teacher. Rebecca explains that she has the power to revisit memories, which has made her realize how horrible she used to be and made her a better person. Jen doesn't believe her and asks for money as an apology. After Rebecca pays, she notices that Carrie is very tense and takes her to the staff room to share some tea. Now they're alone. Rebecca can point out that Jen was an awful friend to Carrie and proves it by showing her some school memories. The day Carrie was supposed to receive an award, Jen made her stay with her as moral support while she took a pregnancy test later on graduation day. Jen didn't want her mom to know she dropped out of school and borrowed Car's graduation gown but didn't return in time, so Car's picture was ruined. Rebecca tells Carrie she needs to stand up for herself. Meanwhile, Jen hides in the bathroom to drink and overhears Andy talking to her girlfriend. It turns out Andy lied about getting into the conservatoire, and she isn't dating her girlfriend anymore. Both consequences of her super strength. As soon as the ex leaves, Jen confronts Andy, who agrees to do anything if Jen keeps the secret. The sisters return to the party, and Jen forces Andy to do the family dance, which embarrasses her in front of everyone. Next, Jen gives Andy an embarrassing speech to read. When Andy gets her award, she reads the awful words and gets furious, so she decides to mock her sister back, causing Jen to reveal her secret. A devastated Andy runs away in tears, and Ian realizes that the distressed person he was sensing had been his own daughter. Then it's time for Carrie to give her own speech, but she can barely speak because Jen's family is arguing in the next room and it can be heard from the auditorium. Carrie realizes Rebecca had been right about Jen and leaves to hide in the bathroom at that moment. Jen comes in and starts ranting about her life, causing Carrie to finally snap and call her out on her selfishness, pointing out that not having powers isn't an excuse to be a bad person. An argument ensues and Carrie ends up running away, leaving Jen crying. Loon at the apartment. Giselle ORD finds a depressed Cash in the tub. Feeling guilty because of how he acted last night, Giselle Lord brushes his hair and shows him videos of penguins falling over to cheer him up, but as they browse the video website, they discover a recording of Cash running from the fight has gone viral. Cash's mood immediately tanks again. During the following days, Jen and Carrie won't talk to each other, so Giselle Lord has to act as their middleman. One morning, Jen finds red dots on most apartment objects and learns that Carrie has labeled her things to forbid Jen from using them. Since she's barely bought anything for their home, Jen can only eat a red onion for breakfast. Afterward, Jen goes to a discovery clinic, determined to get those tests done. While filling out the paperwork, she meets Hannah, another girl in her 20s who doesn't have powers. The girls go to a bar and bond over their powerless experiences. Later, they see a woman who can change her hair color, and they're so bitter that they go into the bathroom and cut her ponytail as a prank because her power can grow it back. However, they soon discover they cut the wrong woman's hair, so they have to run away. At the apartment, Carrie finds Cash's embarrassing video and tells him to apologize to his friends to start over. Cash likes the idea and leaves to search for his teammates. So Giselle Lord uses the chance to ask Carrie why she and Jen are fighting. While Carrie rants about Jen, she finds their puzzle collection and thinks about all their happy times playing, lamenting not finishing them together. When Jen comes back, she says she's got a new best friend and claims that the jigsaw collection is hers, so Carrie retaliates by refusing to summon Jen's dad anymore. Meanwhile, Cash visits Seb, who is going to Florida to forget about what happened. Cash apologizes and gives him some chalk, making Seb cry and hug him as he requests to come along. Then Cash and Seb visit at a who accepts Cash's apology and agrees they shouldn't bring the team back together. Next, they visit Gregor, and Cash tries to apologize only to discover Gregor and Randall have formed their own team. With the other rejects, Gregor starts making fun of his previous teammates, and a furious Cash challenges him to a fight. Since Gregor has super speed, Cash loses pretty quickly, so in the end he decides to rewind time and punch Gregor as soon as he opens the door. Then he invites Randall to join them. Later, Jen meets with Hannah. Mary can't believe her daughter wouldn't share it with her family. Meanwhile, Carrie finally tells Cash that she feels like she's his mom more than his girlfriend. Cash wants to know how to fix it, so Carrie tells him to get a job. Then he rewinds time, and before she can talk to him, he pretends he's on the phone arranging an interview, impressing her. However, as soon as she's out of sight, Cash hides in the bathroom with Randall to panic because he's been avoiding the breakup talk. It turns out Cash has been awake for 28 hours and turn back time every time Carrie tried to break up with him. Randall gives him an energy drink to keep his power active. Then the duo goes out to buy lots of cans. Jen watches them from afar until she bumps into Luke, who is worried because she has been ignoring his texts. Suddenly, Giselle Lord interrupts them and introduces himself as Jen's boyfriend, so she drags him away to scold him for going too fast and says they need some time off. At that moment, Cash tells her someone is in her room, and Jen rushes in to discover her mom hacking into her computer. An argument ensues over their disastrous relationship, but things calm down when the topic of Jen's dead dad comes up. Feeling guilty, Jen asks Mary to stay. In the meantime, Cash tries to dance with Carrie, who notices a dead flower in his pocket. Her own flower is still fine, which makes him realize Cash has been rewinding time a lot. Carrie hides with Jen, and they start ranting about Cash, unaware that Giselle Lord is leaving the apartment for good. Jen tells Carrie about the energy drinks, so Carrie goes to the bathroom to empty the cans into the toilet while Jen sends Cash to watch her crying. Carrie finally breaks up with him, and no matter How many times Cash rewinds he can't prevent it from happening back to Jen. She gets excited when Luke offers to take her flying, but he refuses to touch her in front of everyone and takes her outside. Then he starts complaining about Jizzle. Lord and Jen realizes he's just jealous. She defends Jizzle. Lorden realizes how much he means to her, so she dumps Luke and returns to the party. Jen gets desperate when she can't find just Lord anywhere and goes outside to search for him, running after a cat down the street. As it starts raining, Jen apologizes to the cat and asks him to be her boyfriend, only for Jizzle Lord to appear behind her. After the couple shares a passionate kiss, they return to the apartment and Jen introduces Jizzle Lord as her boyfriend. Mary wants to help her daughter with the clinic, but it's too expensive for her too, so Gordon cuts in and offers the money thanks to selling his services. He's loaded now. The girls hug to celebrate and Jizzle Lord hugs Gordon, causing him to stain his pants. The next morning, Jizzle Lord goes to the grocery store and a girl points at him saying he's her daddy. Her mother drops her groceries as she recognizes his face. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.